War is just like chess. It's not about who makes the first move. It's about who makes the right move and in the right time might actually go ahead and win the war. And just like in chess, there are various troops, there are various battle formations, and there is an organizational structure in any war. So in today's video, let's see what are the different types of troops used in a war, the organizational structure of the army, the battle formations and arrays, and finally, what if the Marvel cinematic weapons have Indian names? So what if the names of the weapons used in Marvel Cinematic Universe, used by Captain America and Iron Man, have Indian names as per Arthashastra? So let's see that. Namaste everyone, welcome back to Zesty Nimbu. This is Srirekha. If you haven't watched the first two parts of the Arthashastra series, go ahead and check that out. The links are above as well as in the description box below. So what are the different types of troops as mentioned in Arthashastra which were used during those war times? So the troops are called Chaturanga Bala. That is, there are 4 types of troops: infantry, horses, elephants and chariots. These are 4 types of troops and hence they are called Chaturanga Bala, and that is why chess got its name as Chaturanga. In modern times, the infantry is the same. The horses have been replaced by jeeps or motorized vehicles. The elephants and the chariots have been replaced by tanks, anti-missile tanks, anti-gun tanks. So this can be a modern interpretation, a very simplistic way of seeing what is the modern technology like from the lens of Arthashastra. In infantry, during that time, there were soldiers who carried swords, who carried spears, who carried lances, and there were archers as well. And in horses, there were horses with armor. There were war elephants, and then there were chariots. The chariots, the longest, the biggest of them was 9 feet in length and 7.5 feet in height. That was the biggest chariot, and progressively decreasing in length and height, the width remaining the same for all the chariots. So these are the 4 types of troops as mentioned in Arthashastra. Now let's look at the organizational structure of the army. Basically, it's the rank of various people in the armed forces that we see even today. So the first one is Senapati or Chief of Defense or the Commander-in-Chief. He had 4 people reporting to him. Those were the chief commanders of the 4 different divisions of the army, which is the infantry, cavalry, elephant corps and chariot corps. So these 4 chief commanders reported to the Chief of Defense, Senapati. Now there was another rank called Divisional Commander who was a Nayaka, and there were 10 such Nayakas reporting to each of these chief commanders. And then there is the next rank, which was again a Senapati. Don't confuse this with the main commander-in-chief, but this Senapati was a battalion commander, and 10 such battalion commanders reported to Nayaka, who was the divisional commander. And the final rank was a Patika or a company commander, and 10 such company commanders reported to the battalion commander, who was a Senapati, and 10 Senapatis reported to 1 Nayaka, and 10 Nayakas reported to the chief commanders, and these 4 chief commanders reported to the final Chief of Defense or the Commander-in-Chief. So this was the organizational structure of the army during the Chanakya time. And each of these divisions had their own trumpet sounds, flags, insignia, right? They used to maintain even during those times so that they can communicate with each other. It was that advanced even during those times. Now let's look at the battle arrays and formations as mentioned in the Arthashastra book. So there were basic units of these troops arranged in certain manner, and these basic units formed an array. So a cavalry unit had 1 horse rider and 6 infantry surrounding him. That is the basic unit of a cavalry unit. And then there was the elephant and the chariot unit, which actually had the same type of troops. So 1 elephant unit or 1 chariot unit had 5 cavalry units surrounding it. That means 1 elephant rider, and there were 5 horse riders, and each horse rider has 6 infantry around him. So there were 6 into 5, 30 soldiers and 5 horses and 1 elephant. Similarly for chariot. So these basic units formed an array. So if you see the basic battle formation, there was a unit in the center, there was a unit in the left flank, right flank, left wing and right wing. So this was the basic battle formation. Now in this, there were pure formations and mixed formations. What were pure formations? It was only infantry or only elephants or only horses or only chariots in these particular places. Center, left wing, right wing, and left flank, right flank. Now in the mixed formation, there were different types. First is a normal formation where in the center there was a chariot. On the left and the right wing there were elephants. On the left and the right flanks, there were horses. The next type of mixed formation was to break the enemy's center, and that had elephants in the center, horses in the wings, and chariots in the flanks. To break the enemy's ends, there were horses in the center, chariots in the wings, and elephants in the flanks. With infantry, elephant in the center, infantry on the wings, horses on the flanks, and chariots on the rear. So these are the various types of formations practiced during those times. Now let's look at the different modes of attack. So the first type of attack was called truncheon attack or danda attack, where the wings, flanks and the center areas advanced evenly together. The next one is called the snake attack, which is called bhoga, where each of them advanced in an unevenly manner, in a sinuous manner, one after the other. In the third type of attack, which is the circle attack or called mandala, the wings, flanks and the center became one and they advanced in all directions simultaneously. And the fourth type of attack is called dispersed attack or asamhata, in which the wings, flanks and the center advanced independently of each other, irrespective of their original positions in the formation. And the variation of a truncheon is the needle formation or suchi, variation of danda, where the arrays moved one behind the other, and that is called needle formation. And if they move in two such parallel columns, it is called a bracelet, and if they moved in four such needle formation, it's called invincible. Now an octagonal formation of the variation of the circle, which is mandala, is also called invincible. Any formation of the enemy can be successfully countered by this invincible formation. So till now we have seen the types of troops, the organizational structure of the army, the battle formations and areas. So the final part of this video is the type of weapons used in Arthashastra. So these weapons find usage even in modern times, not just in Marvel Cinematic Universe. What if Marvel weapons had Indian names? Let's see. So first, let's see the Iron Man suit. The helmet that he wore is called as Sirastrana, and the neck guard is called Kantatrana. The cuirass or the breastplate and the back plate is called Kurpasa. The coat of mail up to the knees is called Kanchuka. Thigh guard or the gauntlet that he had is called Nagodarika. So these are the names associated with Iron Man. Now let's see the Captain America shield. What was it called? So there are few names. One is Kapata, which is a hinged wooden board. So of course this is made with metal, but during that time it was made with wood, so it is called Kapata. There was Kitika, which is cover made of leather, bamboo or cane, and Talamula, which is a shield shaped like the root of a palm tree. So these are the various names that you can give to the shield of Captain America. So the armor that the Avengers and other people wore, it was made of metal or different type of alloy of metal. It was called as Pattajalika or Pattajalika, armor made of sheet metal. So that's the armor even Iron Man would have worn, so it is called Pattajalika. The famous hammer of Thor, what do you think it was called? It was called Mudgara. Mjolnir is the hammer of Thor, and that is called Mudgara. Similarly, the Stormbreaker, which was made for him in the final part, that axe is called Kandachedana. So the hammer and axe of Thor are called Mudgara, the hammer, and Kandachedana is the big axe. There were different types of swords. There was one sword which was used by Hawkeye in Endgame again. It was long and thin. It's called Asiashti. And there were swords which had curved tip. They are called Nishtrimsa. A sword with a curved tip and a sword with a rounded tip, straight. It's called Mandalagra. So these are the different types of swords which have been used in Arthashastra times and also are used in modern warfare. We've seen these in Avengers as well. Now Hawkeye's weapon is Dhanus. bow and arrow. And the greatest weapon of all was the gauntlet with the 6 infinity stones. That gauntlet is called as Nagodarika, which was worn by Thanos. So we covered Iron Man, we covered Captain America, we covered Hawkeye, we covered Thanos, and we have talked about Thor as well, his hammer and his axe. And of course, various types of weapons which were used by everyone in Marvel universe. Now we have trebuchets and ballistas. They were called Sarvato Bhadra, which is a machine like a cartwheel for throwing stones. So these days you can think of it as surface to air missiles. SAMs. Jamadagnya, a machine to shoot arrows. Now Hawkeye is like a machine, so his bow can be called as Jamadagnya, but essentially it's a machine which is like a crossbow which hits a lot of arrows. Chanakya, a rotating machine to throw logs. And even during those times, look at the thought process where they had an engine to pump water to put out fire. So if an enemy hurls some fire throwers on the king, then they had a machine called Parjanyaka which used to pump water to put out that fire. Asphatima is a catapult. So not just the soldiers who wore these armors and different types of defensive equipment, the horses, the elephants, the chariots also had various types of armor put on them so that they will not be hurt or hurt fatally in the war. So in this way, Chanakya actually envisaged so many aspects of war during that time. That is so wonderful, so breathtaking when you think about all these things, and these find a lot of use in modern warfare as well. Of course, the mode of warfare has changed, the weapon types have changed, but essentially the concept remains the same. So when you think about all these things, it's mind-blowing. So let's end this Arthashastra series on this note. Hope you enjoyed the series. So today's question of the day: who are the Saptarishis in this Manvantara? What is this Manvantara called, and who are the Saptarishis of this Manvantara? Please mention that in the comments below. I hope you have liked today's video. If you have liked, give a like and subscribe to the channel. Share the video, comment on it, and do follow me on all the social media handles. Join my WhatsApp group. The link is below in the description box. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. So I'll see you in the next video. Until then, namaste.